Hello everyone and welcome to the stream. This is Otaku Showboat, and for some reason I don't have a live chat today. Hey, let's refresh this page and see if we have a live chat. Today, of course, is the final day of February. Sunday, February 28th, 2021. I'm joined by Dolly, the baby Dolly, pretty girl. Oh my goodness, and today, oh boy, I am a little bit a little bit tired here. Have a whole bunch of brains here at the start. Little bit tired today, little bit distracted today. Yesterday was very 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 long, and yeah, I did a lot of work. Did a lot of work yesterday. So and of course, doing a lot of work just in general. I have been in the process of organizing, at the very least, my office, doing the quote unquote spring cleaning. A little bit early for that, but hey, I need to get this space organized, and I'm realizing that I haven't actually turned on the lamp that I have set up behind my TV. Not like it's necessary with my studio lights that I have. I've also removed the boom light entirely because it's not really needed, besides for the shadows that Dolly casts, apparently. Goodbye. Goodbye, my kitten. So long. Hello and welcome. Welcome. Just going over the things that have happened over the past few days. So yeah, been organizing and doing a bit of work. I've got the area in front of the printer now that's on the other side of my TV next to me. We can actually walk up to the printer now, which is pretty nice. Getting that stuff out of the way, getting stuff out, and getting a lamp that was just sitting on the floor for years is now up off the floor on my desk and plugged in and usable. We don't have a shade for it available, and it would be too big to have a lamp shade on in the spot that it's on. Right now, my desk isn't quite deep enough. But, speaking of desk, I had to take a little bit of a break from my office and clearing up this stuff to help out with my mother yesterday and getting her all set up because she has back issues, which yeah. So she tried doing some like Audible, like Amazon words are failing me right now. She tried to do the whole being a narrator for audiobooks thing through Amazon for Audible, and she had actually done one book completely. She took way too many on all at once at the same time, but and only ended up actually really getting one of them done. But in that process, her setup was really bad, and she was leaning forward with a big quilt over her back, and it caused permanent damage to her spine, to her lower back. So yeah, she has been prescribed to use a stand-up desk. And of course, everyone is remote right now, so we needed to have the stand-up desk here. She was prescribed it. She got it through her work, employment, through the Americans with Disability Act, ADA, funds. And so the actual little stand-up desk thing that we got is an extension. It sits on top of the desk, and it raises up. You just push the button, and it raises up the desk. It's a Versa desk Pro that we ended up getting. That's really expensive. That the university paid for, and it's technically theirs. So once she goes back into the office, we're gonna have to take the thing to her office as well. But for now, the problem is she didn't have a desk in this house. Her setup this entire time, over the entire course of working remotely, has been a armchair on the floor, an antique armchair on the floor, ground level, really low, and a TV tray set up with her laptop on the little tray, and like about that much space to use your mouse on the side. And then a couple of tables for all of the paperwork and stuff next to her. There's like a taller table and a much lower table, squares, that had all the stuff on it. So now that has changed. We didn't actually really have much of a option to put this big Versa desk on top of, and we had the option of using a table that is in the den behind me that has a whole bunch of boxes and other heavy stuff on top of it, that is actually not a desk table, but a dining table that sits inherently really high, or just get a desk. So we went to IKEA for the first time, and we got a desk, and assembled the desk, and cleared out the space, and put the desk in, and put the Versa desk on the desk, and got that all set up for her yesterday. That was my day. Yesterday, her partner paid for the desk, and I helped. I assembled. I moved. I was muscles for all of that, and it's done now. She faces a different direction than she did before because of the size of the desk. We had to get their much deeper desk. We got the Linman desk with Adel's legs, which is their cheapest option, but we had to get very specifically the one that's like 50-something inches and 29 inches deep, wide, whatever you want to call that dimension. Because all of the other ones, even the one that's like over 70 wide, is less than 2 feet deep. It's 23 and 3/4 or a quarter, something like that. That's the desk I have in here, the 2 separate desks that I have for my setup. I have that exact, like, Linman desk with Adel's legs times 2 for my setup here. So we had to get it separate, and of course, they're out of a lot of stuff right now at IKEA, and we didn't really have much of a choice for colors, but what we did end up getting was one that had a light gray surface with white edges for the actual desk, and then white legs. The only legs that they had of the Adel's legs were the white versions of the legs. So we got that, and also a bunch of stuff, a bunch of candy. So we went and we got things. We got things. Yeah, and then had to come back and put it all together. Really easy to put together the freaking legs. It's like 5 screws per leg to put on, and you just twist the legs on. Very sturdy, but also volume of the actual top of the desk. and we just... Today I'm surprised I'm not as sore as I thought I would be. I thought it would be very, very, very sore today, and I am not. And then, of course, this morning, there's a big rigmarole with Genshin Impact folks about the discovery that there is this third-party application that lets you, if you know the user ID of a person, send them the in-game premium currency. You could just buy anyone the in-game premium currency through this third-party partnered website, official licensed partner website. You just send anyone funds or premium currency as long as you know the user ID of the account for Genshin Impact. And people are very upset about this because someone did that to a streamer who is free to play, who has been free to play the entire time, and someone sent him stuff so that now if he tries to... he can't show that he's free to play now at all because he got sent those things and it counts as actually having made a payment on the account, which I understand. That's extremely frustrating. I understand that the company should really have options to disallow payments from that third party for people's individual accounts. I understand that there needs to be a bit more transparency around this. All of these things are true, but what's also happening is a lot of fear-mongering about potential for fraud that I have not even seen any proof of happening at all through this third party, okay? There's a lot of talk about the potential that people could issue refunds or issue chargebacks through this third party, that it would somehow go through MiHoYo and Genshin Impact and they would pull off the gems, and if you've happened to have spent the gems that you've been given, that they would give you a negative balance, and if you don't pay back that negative balance after a certain period of time, that you would get banned. This is a lie. This has not happened at all. This has happened to people whose accounts have been hacked and who have experienced people putting money onto accounts that have been hacked, that have experienced chargebacks through MiHoYo. That is the process that they go through when they experience direct fraud through MiHoYo. Payments through stolen credit cards that have been charged back. Yes, that happens. Yes, accounts can be banned if they don't pay back the negative balance after a certain period of time. That is not what's happening with this third-party payment system. In fact, this third-party payment system offers protection to their partners from chargebacks. They are the ones who are liable for the chargebacks, not MiHoYo, not Genshin Impact itself. If there is a chargeback, it goes through that third party, and that is where it stops. Meaning MiHoYo will not take your funds away. They will not take away gifted premium currency from that third party if there's a chargeback through that third party. They will not do this at all. It is the third party only, and it's up to them to find out the fraud that happened. It is up to them to do the investigation into any of fraud that has happened. Okay? We don't have to fear something that A, hasn't happened, or there's no proof that it's happened to this point, and we don't have to fear it actually happening if it does. You don't have to be afraid of getting banned because someone used this third-party website and then wanted to do a chargeback to try to screw you. Don't be afraid. It's not an issue. Not an issue. People are making an issue out of a not an issue. And also, I do not agree that an account has been ruined because you wanted to be free to play and someone gifted you money on the account. It's like you can just not use the crystals that they sent you. Like you can just not use the crystals that they sent you. You're still free to play, right? You're still free to play. You don't have to use the crystals that people sent you. You'll have to pay attention to not use the crystals that they sent you, but just don't use the crystals that they sent you, and you're good, right? I think everyone who's a watcher of that guy, can agree that as long as you don't spend the crystals, it's fine. It's fine. And he's freaking completed the hardest content of the game anyway without having paid, so what does it matter? It's like you've already beaten the game free. Why do you now care? Suddenly. It's like, yes, let's have beaten all of the account and still care about being completely free to play. No, that's baloney. Complete and utter. Regardless, it is now time to play Factorio, a completely different game, completely unrelated to Genshin Impact, but that was on my mind, and I needed to get it out, and just make those statements clear. My thoughts on the matter that's been occupying my mind for the longest, well, the entire morning, basically, and just had to get out, or at least from the point that I saw the guy posted on my Discord. Anyway, the thing, it's like, oh, be careful. Be careful. Don't spend the gems if they appear in your thing. Well, I'm not gonna be afraid. I don't care. And they only, like, I have so many accounts for that game. It's like, oh my gosh, someone would have to have watched one very specific video to know my main account that I play to be able to actually gift anything to me, because the main account that I play is not the one that I streamed at all. There's only 2 videos on my entire account that actually has the UID with for my main account, and last I checked, those don't get any views. Last I checked, no one's watched those. No, there's like nothing. Let's see. There's 30 whole views on the first one, and then the second one, there's 26 whole views right now. I'm not gonna be afraid of anything. No one's gonna send me premium currency on my main account. But today we have things to do. Today we are starting off by finishing the steel build here on our Megabase playthrough. And then, of course, we are going to continue and move on to doing circuits. Circuits! Green circuits at some degree of scale. N scale. I'm actually going to move this to there. And move this to there. What? Oh. I need medium power poles? What? Oh. It just didn't place them. Right, because I moved on to the top section to try and have an amount of completeness at the end of the previous video to say we've worked on both of those things. We have a lot of things to work on today, and just waiting on bots to recharge too. Here, let's help out a little bit with our robots, shall we? Oh, and then I have to get all of the belt brought in to feed all of this. Oh, it's going to be glorious. So very glorious. Yeah. So it's like, oh, goodness. Goodness, goodness, goodness. People overreact to every little thing. I will admit I am slightly overreacting to the overreactions, but sometimes you just gotta set things straight, right? Sometimes things just gotta get set straight. And one of my biggest peeves is when people have unnecessary fear of things that aren't going to even remotely affect them in the slightest. It's like, oh yeah, does it suck that Enviosity got a gift payment of gems on an account that's supposed to be completely free to play? Yes, it sucks. MiHoYo should absolutely have means of preventing such a thing from happening. If I don't want to get gifts from that payment processing company on my account, I should be absolutely able to say to MiHoYo that I don't want to have the payments processed through there. That I don't want that to happen. You should absolutely be able to say that you don't want it to be a thing. I am with everyone on that, but when it comes down to whether or not such a thing should exist, oh, it has every right to exist in its current form as it is, and there's no issue whatsoever with it doing its thing as it is, being a payment processor for folks. That would also allow you to provide stuff to anyone else. It's essentially a gifting system that helps out people who aren't able to pay through normal, like, Visa debit card stuff. It's like, oh yeah, those people exist. They exist. There are folks who can only really pay with cash, and it lets people pay with cash to fund their gaming addictions for a variety of games, not just Genshin Impact for that particular service. It's like, don't blame them for the actions of a few stupid people. Alright, what do I need? I need my inserters. I need my stack inserters. Loads and loads and loads and loads of stack inserters. And loads of signals. Of course, we need signals, we need rail, we need everything. All of the everything. And of course, power poles. And of course, underground belt. Oh boy. Need loads of underground belt. Loads and loads and loads of it. So, is anyone here? After all that, getting my thoughts out there on a completely unrelated topic to Genshin Impact, or to Factorio, in the form of Genshin Impact. Is anyone still around? I doubt it. We shall see. My thingy's saying that I'm the only one watching myself right now. But that could be wrong. Oh, now it went up to 2. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to Factorio, a game where I talk about everything other than Factorio. From time to time. Especially because we're building at scale. Right? Like, we're building at scale. There's really a brief amount of time that I really have to just say what I'm going to do, and we've done a lot of this quite a bit. Don't know anything about Genshin? Yeah. It's just a free-to-play game. RPG, action RPG, similar to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in its exploration aspects, but it's a party-based combat game with a really big emphasis on finding treasure chests. There's a couple thousand treasure chests to find in the current state of the game. But it's also a gacha game, in that you spend money to get the currency, to get the chance of getting characters and weapons that are a lot better than the ones that you can currently use, that you get given for free, of course. And they give you slowly the currency with which you can do the wishes. It's just nowhere near sufficient amounts, and yeah, there's a lot of like work that needs to be done in that area. A lot of people complain about how the game it doesn't give you enough for the rates at which it gives you stuff from the wishes. Because the best available characters, there is a 0.6% chance. There is a 0.6% chance on any given wish to get the 5-star top-tier characters. Any of them, of course, that is split in the odds between that 0.6 for all of the individual characters, and you are not guaranteed to get a unique one that you haven't gotten before. With some exceptions, there's the character event banners. Half the time you're going to get the character event character, and if you don't get the character event character the first time, you get it guaranteed. The second time, you are guaranteed to get a 5-star character on or before the 90th wish that you make. However, each wish is like $2.50 on average. If you pay $100, it's about $2 a wish equivalent. 2 times 90, $180 for a 50% chance of getting one copy of the character event character. That's what we're talking about here. $360 to guarantee one copy, at worst possible luck, to get a character event character. Which are usually really good characters. Not all the time, but usually really good characters. You get less than 1 wish per day guaranteed of the currency to spend for wishes. Just under 1 per day without having paid any money. There is a subscription-ish thing that lets you get an extra 90... Oh no, I'm thinking with the subscription-based thing. If you aren't on the subscription thing, you get 1/3. 1/3? You get 60 of these Primo Gem items per day. That is the wishing item. You need 160 of them to actually make a single wish for a character or weapon. Every 10th, like within 10 wishes or on the 10th wish, you are guaranteed to get a 4-star thing, character, or weapon. On the character event banner, you cannot get a 5-star weapon. On the standard banner, you can get weapons, 5-star weapons, or 5-star characters, and then there is a special weapon banner, like the character event banner, quote-unquote, that you can wish on and have a guaranteed that you're going to get a 5-star weapon when you get a 5-star out of it, and not a character. And it has actual better odds. It has slightly better odds at that happening. Ever so slightly, you're guaranteed your 5-star within 80 wishes rather than 90. And there's a slightly higher base chance. It's like 0.7 as opposed to 0.6%. It's really bad odds. It's really bad odds. There's a reason why people play without paying anything and want to try to play without paying anything, because if you are going to pay anything, you're paying a lot. It can cost a lot to get any one particular character times the number of characters that there are. And then there's constellations for the characters, in that for every additional copy that you get of the characters, you get a buff, a permanent buff to the character. So to actually maximize a character, you need to get 7 total copies of a character, the initial character plus 6 more, to fill out all of the constellations. And of course, the 6th constellation is the more powerful of all of them, the most powerful of them all. And so to get 7 total copies of a event character, you can do the math. If you are supremely unlucky and it takes 90 wishes, 180 wishes, I should say, for each copy, times 7 times, for the maximum amount of money that you could possibly have to spend on a 5-star character with all of the constellations. It's only for really rich people. Like, let's make that clear. It is clearly designed for rich people. There's no PvP at all in the game. There's no competitive aspects. So you're not really paying to win in competition with other people. So there's at least that. And God forbid they ever actually add that, because that would be such a horrible thing. There are gacha games that actually have PvP, that it is completely pay for power, and it's more of a who can spend the most money type of situation rather than who has the most skill. Or shall we say, who has the most skill of the people who've spent the most money is how they end up going. But not with Genshin Impact. It's a really good game, even without spending any money. It is a good game without spending anything. It's just the spending is... The rates are just awful. It's terrible to get anything. I mean, you only get 60 Primo Gems a day for a free-to-play person. After having explored and gotten all of the chests, because chests can give you Primo Gems as well, and after you've done all the quests, and the quests give you Primo Gems for doing certain quests, once you've done all of it and you've exhausted all the content, you're only getting 60 Primo Gems a day at that point. Now, if you pay, you can get 150, but that's $5 a month, and you get 150, which is 10 fewer than a wish in a day. Than a single wish per day. And the banners, usually, the event banners, they only last 3 weeks normally, 3 or 4 weeks normally. Actually, it's 3 normally, but this time around, this current patch, they've actually had 3 banners that are 2 weeks each. Like, really? Really? So if you get really unlucky as a free-to-play character account, if you're spending all of your Primo Gems on the event wish banners, theoretically you'll get a single copy of a character event banner character, like every, gosh, what is it? If you're only getting 60 a day, if we say on average it's about 75 wishes to get the 5-star, so if it's 75 times 2, so 150 wishes divided by 60 a day, 150 wishes times 160 Primo Gems per wish divided by 60 per day. That's 400 days. Potentially. Before you can see another character event 5-star. You will see a 5-star in half that amount of time, about every 200 days ish, if you don't have the subscription Welkin Moon thing that's giving you an extra 90 gems a day. But it's less than that. It's a lot less than that in practice, because you do get... There are events that give you Primo Gems. There's some login rewards that give you Primo Gems and wishes for the standard banner. There's maintenance. Every maintenance, they give 300 Primo Gems or around that amount. For the downtime compensation, there's lots of stuff that they do give them. They never give enough of them to make it even remotely bearable. So in practice, I'd say you really get about twice as much. So about every 3-ish months, I would say, for a free-to-play player to get a 5-star through the character event banner. A lot rarer on the standard banner. You don't really want to wish on the standard banner too much until you have a solid cast of characters and you need weapons more than characters, because there does come a point there where that happens as well. I spent a really long time with my main account on just the subscription stuff and have a lot of characters as a result and quite a few weapons, but 1 5-star weapon total. Like, I want this next banner character, hopefully. There's only a 50% chance on it. I am approaching that point where I will get a 5-star during that banner. I hope it's the character itself. I would really like that character, but I would also like their weapon on the weapon banner. So I'm going to get the 1 copy of the character and then just start pumping into the weapon banner from this point on, because I have enough characters now. I have every 4-star character on my main account now. I'm literally only wishing for 5-star characters to get new characters, and any 4-stars I get are constellation increases at this point. And I already have 1 or 2 characters at full constellations. It's... Oh, I need more? Wow. Oh boy, I need more electric furnaces as I place all of this. And of course, I've exhausted the content, so it's like I'm waiting around now for more content. And content comes at a rate of every 6 weeks in Genshin Impact. They do a new update. They've kept this cadence of every 6 weeks for since they launched, which is great. That's really good. They give new content every 6 weeks. We just had 1.3. The big part of 1.3 was the Chinese New Year type event. We got a whole bunch of event wishes out of it. We got 13. We're getting 13 total. We had 10 just straight up given to us for login rewards. It was great. It's fantastic. Lovely stuff. Lots of Primo Gems over the course of it. A lot of the quests were a little boring, but hey, stuff to do over the course of the thing while we wait for more permanent content. That's the biggest problem with this update, is like none of it's permanent. So it's like, well, very little of it is permanent, I should say. Make that clear. They did add a story quest that is permanent. And a boss. Yes, that is also a permanent addition. But 1.4, from what I know, is just gonna be another event. Or maybe 1.5 is just gonna be another event. But there is more permanent content in the vein of 1.2 that's coming. There's gonna be a whole new part of the map, little bit of the map added to the game relatively soon. That's what I didn't want to have happen. There's gonna be a new region, little segment of a region that is gonna be more 3-dimensionally designed. much like the Dragon Spine area that got added with 1.2 coming. Mihailo has not been great at announcing stuff ahead of time for like official roadmap information. None of it's official, but 1.4, 1.5, I think it's 1.5, will get that another little piece called the Chasm. And then there's going to be an entire region added for the big 2.0 release at some point before the 1-year anniversary, I would hope. And that's going to definitely add a F-ton of new content. And then as the game progresses, there's going to be, in the works, another, 5 more regions after that? Entire regions to explore? So there's a lot of stuff coming. The game is going to be really great for people starting it up in 3-4 years from now, if they're still running the game. If it's still actually a thing and going by that point, and they work on the end of the story. By the end of the story, I'm sure it'll be great. It'll be a great experience. Lots of content to chew through. Until then, if you're playing along live, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Once you've exhausted things, not so much to do anymore. They need more perpetual content, and the stamina system is not helping them. Their resin thing, because they artificially limit your progression through this resin system, and all of the meaningful content for progression in the game to make your current cast of characters stronger is locked behind this resin system, which each thing that you do is like you're spending 20 resin, which accumulates 1 resin every 8 minutes. And most meaningful things in the game that give you progression cost at least 20 resin. Boss fights are 40, and weekly boss fights are 60. And there's 3 of those right now, and more to come, I'm sure. And you need to fight bosses to advance your characters, to make them stronger, to keep up with the progression of the world level, which progresses with your overall player rank as that increases. It's like, oh boy. There's lots of things to complain about, but it is a inherently good game until the end game. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. It's great until the end. At the end, they make it so that you can't actually play the game. Such fantastic design there. They limit the actions you can do in any given day. You can store 160 resin at a time. Store it. Which is less than a full day. Like, not even 24 hours worth of resin recovery off of 160. Because you get like 180 something over a 24-hour period. Meaning you have to log in twice. I apparently need underground belt. Hey, where'd I park? There. Yay. Time to get more stuff. I'm just connecting up the ore to my smelting setup, if you're wondering exactly what I'm doing here. I've got iron mining set up. I'm going to go to stuff for the iron and then into the steel. Let me guess, you can buy resin with premium currency. Not directly. But yes, actually, you can. In a way, yeah. You can recover your stamina at the cost of Primo Gems, which of course you can buy with the premium currency. You can recover 5 times a day, and the cost gets higher the more times you refresh. I think it's 5 or 6. The first one is 50 Primo Gems. Remember that you get 60 per day, and you need them for wishes because the wishing rate is really low on the stuff. But yeah, you can... Yeah, no, but actually, yes, you're limited in the amount that you can spend in a day on increasing your resin. And I think it ends up coming out to, like... If you were to refresh every single day of the month, it's over $300 a month to do daily full refreshes. And there are people who actually do that. There are people who genuinely do that. So that they can do more per day. But even that isn't enough, because it's still... Like, each refresh gives you 60 resin times 5-6 times a day. You can spend 60 resin in 15 minutes. Less than 15 minutes. So, you only get, like, an extra hour and a half-ish of stuff that you can do of any meaningful progression in the day by paying, like, 10-something bucks or more. If you've spent 100 to begin with, yeah, what a bargain. It's a thing you can do, and no one really particularly does it unless they have a F-ton of real money burning literal holes in their wallet. Get a whole bunch more stuff here going. And there is a battle pass. A seasonal battle pass that updates with every new patch to the game every 6 weeks. And the battle pass has a free and paid reward system. There is a free reward tier and then the paid reward tier, which is in addition to the free reward tier. And the free reward tier, they give you an item that gives you resin that you can use at any time. 60 resin at any time, and it has 5 of those over the course of the battle pass. That is a new addition in version 1.3, the most recent version of the game. And then if you have paid for the battle pass for the basic version of the battle pass, which is $10, $9.99, you get another one, another 5. So you get 5 more of that resin for doing that over the course of the thing, and you actually have to do the stuff to unlock the battle pass stuff. You actually have to do stuff in the game. You have to play the game to unlock the various things in the battle pass. Yeah, I hate pay-to-win games. Yeah, it's high. Genshin Impact is what I'm talking about right now. I technically wouldn't qualify it as pay-to-win because that pay-to-win to me implies you're trying to compete directly with other people in, like, PvP-type situations. Genshin Impact doesn't have any PvP. It has co-op, not PvP. So, from that perspective, it's definitely not pay to compete. You can say it's like what are you winning at? Like, define what you're winning at in the game, because you can beat all of the content without paying anything. You can do the hardest content without paying anything. It's just that they have a lot of monetization in this game. And they are experimenting. Yes, pay to reduce grind, which isn't a bad thing. Paying to reduce the amount of time doing something unfavorable isn't by design an inherently bad thing, but it does lead to design around the concept of making mechanics that force people to want to pay for them, right? If you want to pay to skip, fine, but as long as the stuff that you're skipping is stuff that's bearable. Like, if it's stuff that's not bearable, then fine, then or not fine, then not fine, because then they've made their game worse to force people to buy things, and that's not nice. I don't think that's the case with Genshin Impact. I think that the content that is skipped, quote unquote, it's not really that you're paying to skip content, it's that you're paying to do more content. That's the way it is. You're not actually paying to reduce the grind, you're paying to grind more in Genshin Impact because you're paying for the stamina refreshes. And it's free to play, but it is definitely pay to play more of the experience and to progress faster because you can play more of the content that gives you progression. And again, you can play the game and play all the content, beat all the content without having ever paid any money. It's just there. And they are going to tempt you with all the wonderful, beautiful new characters and all the wonderful, beautiful new weapons that they introduce over time. And that's fine. They can absolutely do that. It's just, I wish the rates were a little bit higher, you know? It's one thing to have the rates be really low as part of the psychology of it, because they are literally playing mind games. They're basing their business around inching people towards paying money. But there is a thing that is going a little bit too far, with rates being a little bit too low, and I think that they could, like, I would like to see the research that they're using to that made them determine that 0.6% rate for 5-star characters was the sweet spot, because I'd be willing to guess that more people would spend more money if the rates were higher. Because that's really the balancing act that these companies have to do. There's really a major balancing act these companies have to do. They want to maximize the amount of money that they make with the system that they've chosen to use, in this case a gacha literal gambling system, where you need to have players want, like, you're trying to make players want to spend money. Inherently, you want to maximize the amount of money that people spend. You want to try to get people who wouldn't otherwise spend money to spend money on the system. And you need to make sure that the largest part of your income, your whales, have a reason to continue whaling over time, and not to screw your whales, because that is a huge part of your overall income, while trying to maximize the number of dolphins that you have, and try to also increase your minnows, people who just spend really small amounts of money. And it's a real balancing act on having to choose the right rates to maximize the target, the target demographic that you want. Like, what do you want more of? Genshin Impact is definitely designed to try to maximize the number of whales that they have, rather than the number of dolphins and minnows. It is 100% designed to maximize the number of whales, but I think they do so at a massive cost to those other demographics that I think they would have been better off having. I think that basing your game around the concept of maximizing whales is a little bit too risky. It's a little bit too risky. I'm going to put down a balancer, actually, somewhere around here. Which one? I don't need one. I don't need one that big. I need 8. Yeah, 8 unlimited. Because this is one belt of throughput. Essentially, I just need to evenly merge this one belt into one. So I'm just gonna like stick this. I'm first gonna get rid of all this, and I'm just gonna put this down. Not that one. That one. Put this down here. So this is an unlimited throughput 8 to 8 balancer, which means it's N to N, however many in to however many out, and I'm gonna use this as a 5 to 1. I know, there's probably a 5 to 1 in here. That's 1 to 5. I would need a 5 to 1, but I don't know if this is actually gonna be capable of truly doing what I need it to do. I'd rather use the unlimited balancer than a 5 to 1, a prime to prime. Those are always the trickiest. Always tricky dealing with primes. The input theoretically is balanced, but I want it to stay balanced even if the stuff starts mining out. If the patches start mining out, like I'm thinking long term, these will start to become a little bit uneven on their output, which means that this is gonna become a little bit uneven. But everything is subject to modification over time. Yeah, first vid you clicked on is me playing Factorio. Yeah, after having played it for a long time. Yep, sounds about right. So I have been getting feedback about, excuse me, about everything. Streaming, content, creation, stuff, and oh boy, I have to now split this 8 ways, don't I? Or just use a smaller train. Or make an 8 train and only load 1 wagon with it. Oh, I need more inserters. Oh boy. More stack inserters? That means I'm not actually done yet with all this, isn't that great? I might not be done. Yeah, I'm not done. More inserters are required. And, yeah, I have been getting feedback. People, you can't keep up. No one can keep up with the content. That's part of the feedback. It's too much stuff. Can't keep up. Only a certain amount of time can't keep up. Well, have you ever heard of this thing called streaming before? Have you ever tried actually keeping up with a streamer streaming? It's not exactly possible, for the most part, unless you're watching one person exclusively, and you're watching for long periods of time. The inherent thing about streaming is that it's catering to people with lots of time on their hands. And not so much those who don't have a lot of time on their hands. It is just like television. Have you ever truly kept up with a thing on TV? We all know that occasionally you have to miss something live. And that it can take a really long time to catch up. For example, how many people do you know have a full DVR of stuff that they have not watched but it's there because they want to watch it on the DVR? I know there's a transition away from traditional television these days, but there's still people out there who do record their stuff that they watch on TV and have to deal with having a full DVR because they just don't have the time. I get it. I get it. But that's not stopping new content from coming out. Now, is it? Like, that's not going to inherently stop companies from continuing to produce their content just because people can't continue to watch it. And they have the ability at any time for people to watch it. Like, that's why I keep my VODs. It's there forever. You have literally forever to watch VODs overall, but I do understand it's hard to keep up if you're trying to watch everything. Especially when I stream 6 hours a day for 5 days a week, and then 3 hours on a 6th. Especially when there's 6 times 5 plus 3, 33 hours a week of content through the streams. Yes, this is why games like Fortnite do really well. Because you don't have to... There is no, like, actual story progression there. It's just you go in, you do a match, you get out, you do a new match, anyone can come in, come out, and it's still the same person playing, and it doesn't matter anymore, right? Like, there's no missing progress from Battle Royale games in general, right? Which is why they have a much, 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 much higher viewership than factory building games in general. Because someone also pointed out, oh hey, the niche for Pie Suite and Angels mods is really small compared to Factorio. Yeah, you know what's really small? Factorio's niche in general! It's also really small. And factory building in general. All of them, all of the everything. Factory Town, Factorio, Satisfactory, Dyson Sphere program. The total audience size of this style of game is minuscule by comparison to the other genres that exist. Almost every other genre that exists. Especially first-person shooters, battle royales, MOBAs. Those three are top 3, and you know what? I don't like playing any of them. I don't like any of them. I don't like any game that makes my heartbeat go fast. I do not actually enjoy the experience of heart rate go fast. Ah. See, that would help. There might be one more of those. No, that's good. Yeah, I don't play games to make my heart rate go fast. I play games to make my heart rate go slow. I play to relax. I play to be calm, to get that nervous energy out of the system, to just be calm, not be leaning forward high, like gritting my teeth through competition. Like, no. I don't really do the whole competing thing. I don't really need to... I don't have a need to prove myself to anyone else about my skill at a game compared to someone else. My skill at a game should be apparent. Just apparent in my playstyle and how I play and what I'm doing. That's why I like Genshin Impact, because it's a single player experience for the most part without any PvP. Like I'm really happy about it, and I don't have to deal with guilds or any of that BS. Frankly, a little bit tired these days of being the dude in a guild that that is the one who answers everyone's questions. Little bit tired of being that encyclopedia. Because that's how it ends up most of the time. I've played MMORPGs with PvP and all that, and you know, I'm just trying to sit there and have a good time, just play the game, experience what the game has to experience. I'm not really there to do this numbing content that makes your heart go fast. That's like raid type stuff. It's like, no. Teamwork? What the hell is that? If I can't beat it myself, then what's... No. Nah. But what ends up happening is that if I join a guild in one of these games, because I am a researcher, inherently, my brain wants to know all of the everything, I end up being the person who... People ask a question, I answer the question, and I get referred to as an encyclopedia of the game so many times. And then inevitably, I end up as an officer somehow because I answer questions. And that's it. And that's all I do. Like, I always... And yet I don't want to be an officer most of the time. It just happens. There's a reason I don't really play MMOs anymore. There's a reason. Just gotten tired of it. That, and there really hasn't been a great actual MMO that's new that's been released in recent memory. Last thing I really played was, what even was it? The newest thing I did was Bless Online. I was a member of Veritas. Ah, that was a fantastic experience that literally ruined me for a good long while. Imperator Gaming, or whatever the heck they're called. Now that was a highly competitive guild, which fortunately in Bless Online the PvP was instanced consensual PvP. I don't really like the whole open world thing for the most part. That was the PvP I took part in anyway. Yes, there was open world PvP between different groups, sort of like in the Warcraft setup, Alliance versus Horde. But, yeah, it was definitely an experience. I will say that, being part of that group of the hardcores, the absolute hardcores. I was actually in the main guild, the main hardcore part of the guild, even though I wanted to not be, because they had the hardcore part, they had the not as hardcore, and then they had the like casual friends and family type setup. I wanted to be in the not so hardcore group, but when the game launched, they're needing to get members into these groups. I ended up in the hardcore one, and I ended up actually being active enough that I maintained my position for a while until my weight went up by about 10 plus pounds, and my sleep schedule was way off, and my work wasn't getting done, and yeah, I was like, no. and the game ended up not having all the features that were expected of it at the launch, so that was also very disappointing. Didn't have all the like PvP event stuff that it was supposed to have, but didn't for a long while. And yeah, I just quit and I stopped and I'm like, I can't do this. I don't think I can really do this ever again. But yeah, that was that. I was a paladin in that game. I play healers. For reference, if you didn't know. I prefer playing healers. And everyone can tell that I prefer playing healers. Even when I played Black Desert Online, which I also played a lot of. One of the original members of the Guild Fortune in that game. Have played it off and on quite a bit, but gosh, I just can't. Now that's a game that I dolphined. I was a dolphin in Black Desert Online. I was also a dolphin in Perfect World International for God. That was like my first MMO really that I really got into. All right, let's get this train going. Oddly enough, a game with gambling, loot boxes. Perfect World International, that is. Hey, it's another game with loot boxes. That, fortunately enough, you could just trade and buy and sell in-game with in-game currency, so there was that going for it. At least. It's like, yes, they get bought with, Hello, Ave! Welcome. Welcome to the stream where I talk about everything but Factorio. Because that's this stream. That's been this stream. I do prefer playing healers in MMOs, but I have done the role of tank and DPS, and people were... I only got compliments being a tank. So, that like I've gotten compliments being tanks and being healers, being good at either role. So I'm pretty good at any role in MMOs, but just personal preference is healers. Yeah, like this is something unusual. Right. We had a really long rant about Genshin Impact early on. A really big rant. I'm not in the right spot. I'm trying to get fuel. I need rocket fuel. Really big rant about Genshin Impact. It all started with the thing that's in the Discord right now. The discussion from Discord about folks being able to basically purchase premium currency for other people if they know their account ID, the UID. Have I played Crash Stario 2? Because I have, and I have a playthrough of that on my channel. I have an entire series of Crash Stario 2, beginning to end. And yeah, I used to play World of Tanks as well. A lot of us have played World of Tanks around here. I was one of them. I've even spent some money on World of Tanks. Just a bit. I have a few premium tanks. I have multiple premium tanks. Did they ever bring back the Type 59? Because I have one of those. Or whatever the heck it was called. The extremely overpowered medium tank. the super powerful, super fast medium. Because I've got one of those. And a few more. A few more. Just a few more. The whatever it is, that one of the, it's no longer so OP. Well, yeah, I know they did nerf it a bit, but they also took it off of sale. I remember when they took it down completely. And I'm sure they've added a ton of new premium tanks since then. I mean, it's been years. It's been years since I've really played World of Tanks. So says the guy who says he doesn't really like the whole fast heartbeat type games, competitive games. It's not because I haven't played them. Right? When I say that I don't really like competitive games and games that get your heart racing, it's not because I haven't played them. I have played them. Some I've played a lot of. And I still maintain that they're not for me overall. I don't, not the me that is now, not the current me. I can't really. I could try going back to it. I've played plenty of World of Warships as well. And I have tried World of Warplanes. I didn't get past the beta for World of Warplanes. And a lot of others didn't really get past the beta for World of Warplanes. I have a... Oh, no. Oh, no. My cup has a crack. I think it's fluid tight, but it is a crack. I have not played. I don't think I've played since the CV rework, no, but I know it exists. I haven't really done much of the CV rework. Yeah, there's a crack. It goes. It's about to here to here hairline crack that goes all the way through from here to here. But I was a CV player primarily ish in World of Warships. I played the beta, and I played after the beta. During the beta, I was actually a member of a guild called the Fleet of Fog. I was part of Fog, and this is where we will get into the fact that I am in fact named Otaku Showboat. I was in Fog, and for those who don't know, Fog is a reference to Arpeggio of Blue Steel, which is a manga series and anime. And my name, because every person in that guild was named after a ship that could have been in the anime or was just part a ship. I was the Yorktown. I was the Yorktown during that period of time. So that was my name. I was Yorktown, which is a CV carrier. So yeah, I named myself after a carrier because I completely intended to main carriers. I didn't really main carriers so much. Gosh, like what would I say that I would prefer of all of the playstyles in World of Warships these days, based off of my experience with it? I always had a hard time with the battleships. I was never particularly good at the distance aiming for the battleships. Just aiming at a distance. I mean, I was a pretty decent shot overall at medium distance, but the like really long distance ones, forget it. I just know when the camera angle goes like super high, I couldn't get it at all. I leveled quite a few battleships, but I've never been particularly good with the battleships. I was a bit better with mediums, but I think the most fun. I was fairly decent on the cruisers, but I think the most fun I had was as destroyers. That was probably the most fun was playing the destroyers. Much better at torpedoing folks and trying to stay hidden. That fits my place, my personal play style a little bit better in how I play games and how I approach games would be the like sneak around and torpedo the effers type situation. Um yeah. I'm disappointed that they removed like I don't think they ever added back the what the heck was it? I forget the name of it. There was a premium Japanese torpedo boat that had like the ability to launch like 20 torpedoes all at the same time. That was available in beta but did not end up in the full release for obvious reasons. It had like yeah, something like that. It had like a couple of the torpedo tubes that was like 5 all at this 5 per launch, and you could launch like at least 2 times. Yeah, like 20 torpedoes. I don't know if they added that back in. 2 times 10. Oh yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know if they ever did they put that back in. Is it there? Because it wasn't there for a long time. It wasn't there like the entire time that I really played it. And I prefer World of Warships over World of Tanks. It's a little bit slower, more methodical, and a lot less of the heartbeaty stuff. And if you die, you die. If you don't die, you don't die. We're doing full cargo circuit condition here, and set that to just go. And just the way that I've played World of Tanks, World of Warships, just in general, with it being 16 by 16 or 8 by 8 or whatever the heck it is, many people versus many people, is I would just go in and I just have fun. Like I don't care if I really contributed too awfully much to the team. It's like if I kill folks, I kill folks. If I don't, I don't. If I die in 10 seconds, I die in 10 seconds, and I just move on to the next ship in my roster. Next ship or next tank in my roster, and that was that. Whew. So, we're done with steel. It's about time that we're done with steel, almost halfway through the stream. The next item on the agenda is to actually get into circuits. Glorious, beautiful, wonderful circuits on this day. I do need to define steel. Our glorious depot for steel. We have 30 steel per second. Can we just let's have a look. Look upon this infrastructure. Gaze upon this field of infrastructure. And know that this makes 30 steel per second. $30. 1 red belt. all of this mining here, all of this mining here, combined together into all of this smelting here, and all of this smelting here. One red belt. One whole stupid red belt. Yes, modules are needed. I have level 1. I have the ability to make level 1 modules, but we need to make those circuits. Actually, I can make level 2. We can make level 2 of them. But we need to make all the circuits ever. For all that. All of the circuits ever. So our plan with the circuits is that we are going to build the circuits with local smelting of iron and copper. That is the idea here. And then I've also planned this out so that I have separated from the block plan of 50 science each. Yeah, now we'll be starting to fill our trains with green and red and blue circuits once I get the plastic done. We need a plastic factory before we get into the red circuits, but for now we're working on the greens. We're going to do localized iron and copper smelting and production of greens for our reds and for our blues. Okay? So the reds and the blues are not going to be importing greens. The blues will import reds, particularly because the amount of throughput of the reds that I need is 10 times lower than the amount of greens. Okay? 10x difference in the overall throughput. So I'm more inclined to just build one big red circuit factory and shove the ones that I need for the blues into the blues while making the local greens, and then have the local greens at the blues. Now, I do know that because this is plastic, copper, iron, and this is plastic, copper, iron, and sulfuric acid. Oh, right, I'm combining these here, aren't I? No, I shouldn't do that. So it's 776 at this smelting location, or at this production line for the blue circuits, and then bring in 77.6 reds. That's not quite the math, because I also have to put this below the blue. Hold up. That has to be below the blue. Huh? Duh. Oh, okay. It is taking into account 300.2 plus 77.6 is 377.8. That's fine and fully taken into account. Now, that 539 and that 776 are separate from this 336.7. This is the amount of green circuits that I need as green circuits for the other aspects of my science production. And that is what we're going to do. It is, however, the halfway point of today's stream, which means that it is officially time to take a brief break. Now that we know that we are going to be working on doing this shenaniganery, not at this scale, not quite yet, but at a similar scale in a position that will allow me to scale to this scale. And we have to be nearby iron and copper. Okay, we need to be nearby iron and copper so we can get our smelting setups done. So let's just have a look at the map, take a brief break. when I get back, we will see where we're going to build this. Yeah, like, try to find a good spot for where we should build this and start working on it. And I will be back shortly. And I have returned. Welcome back, everyone. The kittens are very much enjoying my mother's new desk setup. Oh, they've got a new thing to be exploring all of the time and to climb on top of. Especially when she actually has the VersaDesk raised up. It's a new tall platform for the kittens to be on. So they quite like it, especially Ollie for some reason. He wants to be like on top of her computer, raised up on the VersaDesk. So it is time for circuits. I need a location that is near iron and copper in roughly this amounts. In roughly this amounts. So what is that in terms of number of red belts? Seven? Ish? Just over 7 on the copper. A bit under 7 on the iron, so we need slightly more iron, or slightly more copper than iron, and yeah, I haven't added the speed modules in here. It's actually pretty accurate inherently on the things. It seems like the amount affecting one is the most important number of here that determines the scale. Like the constant beacon just impacts the like total number of beacons and all that, and like the ratio number of beacon per factory, or the beacon per factory here at 0.5. If I set this to 0.25, it doesn't affect the number of factories, it just affects the total number of beacons that it's displaying, right? As the number here. So these two values, this beacon by factory and constant beacon, that's not the important numbers here unless you are really trying to figure out how many beacons you need. Like, who cares, right, about how many beacons you need? If you're using this tool for Helmod, you're not really questioning, like you're not looking for the answer to the question of how many beacons do I need. You're looking for the answer to the question of how many factories do I need that are being beaconed by X number of beacons at one time. You're trying to answer the question of how many factories. So the amount affecting one, this is the number. That's the important number. And for me, for the way that I'm building with my setup, with my smelting setup, etc., that number is 4. 4. Every single building along the entire line is always going to be affected by 4 beacons at any one time. And they're going to have 2 level 3 speed modules each, regardless of how many beacons it takes. Regardless of how many beacons it takes for that number. I mean, yes, we are ignoring that we will need to be able to produce that number of beacons, but the thing is, you produce that number of beacons, and you have produced that number of beacons permanently. Now, if we change this to 6, it will reduce the number per thingy, right? We went from 43 on here to 31. If we could have all of them being impacted by 6. But no, we have them all impacted by 4. And that's the only value of these 3 that changes the number of factories. These other 2 simply try to help to calculate the total number of beacons you'll need around these factories. So I should be working with this beacon thing. I'm glad that I've finally sort of figured out how all of this works. And smelters being identical in size to assembling machines. We should have this same-ish layout, I would imagine. And using productivity modules means that we are not going to have a build that is based off of direct insertion anymore. There is no longer that 3-to-2 ratio. In fact, we're closer to 1-to-1 on our ratio on the copper wire into the electronic circuits. We're actually a lot closer to 1-to-1. We are, for all intents and purposes, 1-to-1, right? Although it's in the wrong direction. It's in the wrong direction. We need slightly more so that if we do 43 into 43, we're only actually getting the 41 equivalent out still, and not 43 equivalent out. It's in the wrong order. But we are going to do it as designed, as stipulated there, and it's not going to be direct insertion at all. So we need a spot that has a lot of iron and a lot of copper. Enough iron and enough copper for, say, 7 or 8 mining arrays, or 7 or 8 red belts of mining worth of mining. So if this is 3, we need a bit more than that. Now I do know that this is quite a bit of iron and copper right here. This is quite a bit of iron, and this is quite a bit of copper, but this is my primary copper right in here. All of this is primary copper, and all of this is primary iron. So these green circuits yeah, I see this area, and I also see this up here, but I'm trying not to be too far off down this line. I think I will be extending this line out, and we're gonna see what's down in here. Yeah, northwest or southwest. I need to get my rail on me so that I can continue my rail lines here. Just gotta expand the rail line to the west, put down my radars on the way. Make sure we get our power set up. That's how we'll start, and we'll continue from here. I'm thankful that the desk that we got actually fits barely in the area my mother's got for her working, her little workspace area. She's like right by the front door in our living room area, and there's not really that much space. But we're making it work. We're making it work. We got her an actual IKEA desk, very similar to the one that I use for here, my 2 desks that I use for this setup, just slightly deeper and slightly wider than the ones that I have. And it's actually against the back of our couch facing the TV at this point. My mother's always wanted to have a table to have behind the couch. Granted, what she was thinking of would be one of those very thin tables that extends behind the couch so you can put, like, decorative stuff on it. I'm trying to think, do I want to actually just corner here and dodge this? I'm okay with going over the uranium, but I sort of love this size of this patch. I like it. I like it a lot, but my turn still covers it. Oh, that's unfortunate. And that's a lot of trees. Let's trim it back. Here? So the spacing of this, it's either going to be there or there. Oh yeah, and since we went to IKEA, I'll show this again. I got some of this stuff from Gary. My mother's partner got us all something at the IKEA. I have to start mining the uranium for nuclear fuel. I don't know about doing the whole nuclear fuel thing. Oh, it's back. Oh, it's here. Okay. Well, that's better. That's better. That is legit better. Hold up. I need to actually see because that. Huh. Is that even aligned, right? And I need to add the doohickeys. So it's there? Huh. No. It's there. Oh, there are many reasons why people drink to lose control. There are multiple reasons. Multiple reasons people drink until they've lost all thought and control. Many. All of which have to do with deep-seated psychological issues that should be resolved through alternative means than alcohol, but alcohol is cheap. Ha, I should probably get military tech. Is what you're actually saying. Mill tech to get poison capsules. Mill tech existing. Because we're about to go all the way down this line. Which unfortunately goes over a different copper patch, but nowhere as good as that one. So my thought slash concern... Huh? Huh? Right, it's the middle. Okay. It's the middle. Nah, it should work just fine. It should work just fine. I'm just overthinking things by a lot. Who's doing this? Where's my dolly? Is that my dolly going on top of the freaking printer? Please don't break the printer. The paper tray on the printer. That would be sad. So yeah, I need to actually get all this set up here. So the thought process I was just having is like, oh, like, what is all this orientation work? Because if we ever convert this and extend like across here, is this even a valid location? Technically, yes, but also really close to that because it's there. If this was any other intersection, it would be a double type intersection. Yes, everything is meant to be ruined. Of course. Everything is for the kittens to destroy and play on. Just get on top of. Oh, so there doesn't even... Ah, right. There isn't even a thingy there. It goes in those two locations. Yeah, it's a lot of forest. Such forest, much wow. Very super thick. Super thick. And we're destroying the whole thing. We must deforest the planet. Always, always gonna remind me of the old Earthworm Jim series. Talk about deforestation. From the episode with the, whatever, Sword of Righteousness. Oh boy. Well, no, I've got a deconstruction planner that only works that works with the trees only. Get rid of all this. I don't need... Oops, I need that. I need that one. I don't need those. There we go. I want to make sure that I only get the trees. So I use my little tree deconstruction planner. Oh yeah, I was earlier I was mentioning about how I have been getting some feedback about that post I had made last week on just the state of things and how for the moment my focus is going to be on like getting my little setup here organized so that I can think about so that I can get into a bit of a better mental state while making content by making this workspace more my own and getting out a lot of the clutter that's in here, trying to just clean out the clutter for the most part. Whoops, that is not the key combo that I was looking for there. And that I would be thinking about the future of content for my channel. That is actually precisely the upgrade I would need to do to that blueprint, right? My 90-degree blueprint. I should select new contents there. That's it. That is it. It's a little off, though. That's it. Why was it off? How did that? Oh, right, because it rotated. Is that the middle, or is that? Oh, we'll test and find out. That is off a tile. There we go. That's it. Ta-da! Beautiful. We got the placement of the power poles on the proper placements for the right angle turn, which we're only doing to try to avoid having to go over this, and mostly, I guess, the uranium. There's a little tiny bit there, but I would love to tap into that copper eventually. You mean to clean the blueprint and remove the deconstruction mark from what I do not want deconstructed? Well, I want all of it. I want all of the trees gone. That's what I want, effectively. I want everything out. This is promising. To be honest, this is pretty promising. Let me get a thingy placed here. The iron fields north here. This is steel. These iron are for steel. This and these and this guy up here, like all of this iron is steel, so I can like mark game. Why did... What? No. No. No, no. F that. Screw that. Kill it. Kill it with fire. Kill it with absolute fire. No, die. Never gonna use that. Goodbye. That feature no longer exists. Goodbye, good feature. You will be missed. You no longer exist. Mods. Where's mods? I need a mod. I need a mod that adds a feature to add tags to the map by clicking on the map. And not that dumb BS that is completely useless. I need to just be able to click the position on the map. That is completely stupid. Who thought that that was a good idea? Please fire them. Please fire the individual who thought that that was a better idea. Even if it was Kovarex, please. Remove them from the development of the game. They are out of their damn mind. And completely out of touch. with the people who are actually experiencing their game. Like, no. No. Not good. Not a good idea. Way, like, objectively worse. Objectively worse mechanic now. That is frustrating. To every person who has ever played the game to this point and was using the ping mechanic, and using the tags. Literally no one asked for this. Literally no one asked for this. Like, if you wanted to make it, if you wanted to have people not accidentally place a tag, add a modifier to the, like, make it a key combo shortcut, like shift click, control click. It used to be just right click on the map and you could add a tag anywhere. It was just right click, add tag. If you don't want people to accidentally, if people are complaining about accidentally placing tags on the map by right clicking, make it shift right click. My god. That's a super easy way to fix a problem. Just make it shift right click. And make the ping like control right click. To ping in multiplayer. Don't make us have to, like, define a tag and then place it after we define it. No. You're literally adding steps to a process that don't need to be there. Like, no. No. Bad. Bad design. I am calling it out as I see it. Bad, awful design. Hello. Ollie. Ollie. Pretty Ollie. If there's an option in a setting, why is this the default? Why did they make the worst option the default? Right? It would be under interface if there's an option for it. Let's have a look at interaction. Always keep inventory sorted. Technology pops up, place off, thingy, fuzzy search, pick ghost items, show all items, lock belt, smart belt dragging, set quick bar filter by clicking with item. None of that is a thing. Show minimap, show tips and tricks, turret radius, item labels in cursor when holding an item. Okay, show rock veil block visualization, missing logistic icon. Grade when game is paused, insert arrow when selected, interaction indications, flat GUI, recipe notifications, tool window next to quick bar. Oh, that's this. This? It used to be on the other side completely. But no, nah. That's all alt mode stuff. None of that is map. None of this has to do with placing pings on the map. Other? No. Controls? You can ping a map location with Control Alt left mouse button. And that's always been there. So yeah. There's no way to send it back. It is what it is. That is a lot of copper. Oh boy. And that is a nice bit of iron. Okay, I think... Yeah, I think we have a winner. Right here. Oh, boy, this is a winner. Oh, boy. Wow, okay. Yes. We have a winner. I will, I will make this go back up and over and get the... Oh, and we have to get the train station, too. The train station itself and all the smelting stuff. Let's continue to reveal what's up over here. Northwest. More iron. Because we need to mine, we need to smelt, and we need to process. Mining, smelting, processing. Hello, all of the things. So if I bring the line out here, it's going to cover over both of these copper patches. And I'd rather not. If I go up and over, then yes, we've cleared the iron here and the iron here. We're between all these patches with these two iron and all of this stuff down here. But we don't really have any room to put a train station at that point. So I think that what I will have to do is put a T intersection here. Where, yeah, this is going to be a little different. This is going to be a little different. Where this time around, here, we're not actually going to have this built like this. No, instead what we're going to have is a different intersection going that way. There's one ghost segment here that... There we go. That'll do it. That will do it. And then we, of course, will go back and turn there to go forward. And I might actually just go up, meet up again with a different thing. Maybe convert this into T intersection. One of these, at least, as well. Not really good spacing to make these T intersections, though. Yeah. Not good spacing to convert these. But that, it will be how it is. For now, we've dodged this big copper patch. We could tap into it if we really want. We've basically got the entire region here of all of this stuff to work with for the green circuits. The problem is we need to find 2 more areas like this, where we've got a bunch of iron and copper near each other. Now, it looks like up here we've got at least one more, and somewhere over here we'll have another one, ideally, or over here we'll have more of this. We've got plenty of resources across this map. Absolutely plenty enough of the resources. This is just a very convenient location to put the train station down. I just have to remember that I won't really be able to tap into this particular iron because of my supply depots scaling over this. Alright, there we go. That actually provides power. To the radar that is about to be placed. There you go. Now we've got more radar coverage. Soon we'll have even more radar coverage. And everything will be awesome as we go along. So, as I keep getting distracted, more comments about the post that I had made the other day on the state of things, where I have mentioned that I will focus a bit on my mental state by clearing up this room. That'll be the first step of many to help with that. But in terms of the actual content for the channel, I've mentioned that there is this sentiment that there's too much content for people to keep up with, and that there is a hesitation on the part of some people who see really long series that they won't start watching a series that's particularly long. But I mean, that's the nature of what I'm playing inherently. Like, that's just the nature of it, especially if we are playing with mods. It's a long experience. Had the one person who was talking about that say that they would prefer videos that show the thought process, but basically just skip the entirety of doing the actual physical build itself, which, I mean, I do attempt to try and get through some of that on some things, where if we're obviously repeating a thing that we've repeated many times, I try to do that off screen. But if we are streaming for 3 hours, we're streaming for 3 hours, and if we need to do the work during that period of time of actually building, then we're going to be building. Like, if it's necessary for us to be building, we're going to be building. Even if it's something we've seen hundreds of times before. Not everyone has seen it hundreds of times before. Sometimes people do come in and things are new to them, and they are interested in seeing how one builds these things. The design aspect is one thing, the thought processes behind the design are one thing, and then there is the practicality of actually executing upon the build, which some people want to learn. I am out of rail here. Get more rail. Some people don't know how to do the build. It's not as easy as seeing a complete build and then doing it, making that build yourself without having at least some knowledge of the game mechanics. I am very much a proponent of knowing why a build is the way it is, and why the design looks the way it looks, what the purpose of the design is, And you miss some of that if you don't see the actual build itself and the adjustments that are necessary to be made. Some adjustments that are necessary during the build itself, just because of the way that the game is designed and those mechanics. Phew. Alright. We have a station. We need this, and more. Because if you thought that everything that we've done so far has been a lot, that was only the beginning. We have only just begun. Alright, I need to get that put back, and I need those brought out. I need even more of those. Oh boy. And I need mining drills. Many mining drills. And lots of assembling machines. I broke it! Oh noes. Then another person was commenting about how, actually it was, this person was here earlier, I don't know if they still are, but that was, Questarius about, their own suggestions for edited content, being to do, like, base review type stuff of people with their own modded bases, which has been... I've had that before requested. Not as keen on that, though. And to do mod comparisons, game comparisons, like factory game comparisons. More stuff with the cats and deep dives into they like how sometimes I go into these discussions about the science, how things actually are versus how they're represented in the game. We had a bit of that with Dyson Sphere Program. How some of the things in that game aren't really even theoretically realistic, but it's a game, so they've made a game, and you have to take that step back sometimes. I've actually thought about this too. For the longest time, I've been thinking about one topic in particular, and that is video games never get rivers right. When map making for video games and such, and like fantasy maps, they're fantasy, but if you have the background like I do with the geology stuff, you look at the maps and it's like, but no, not possible, on some stuff, but in particular, rivers are never designed accurately. No one understands rivers in all, like, of all the people who design these maps and these levels and stuff, no one ever gets rivers right. It's always disappointing. It's always extremely disappointing to see that they never get rivers right. Rivers are a, how should I word this? Water will flow from a source to a sink. Source of water at higher elevation to sink of water at lower level elevation. The vast majority of the time, what this effectively means is mountain to ocean, or sea, or lake. Sometimes you could have lake being fed by groundwater as well, and you get more water in the lake, and then you have rivers. You have river coming out of lake, feeding off to some other sink of ocean. And what happens when river meets ocean? Deltas. Deltas happen when river meets ocean. All rivers need a sink and a source. And you know what? There's not just one source. There's not just one. It's a mountain, and it's lots of little creeks, and melt, and rain, that all feed in. You get a whole bunch of stuff that all feeds in to one. It all feeds into one, and then as it goes down, everything meets up, and then the behavior changes depending upon the grade of the angle, like the angle of the descent. The behavior of the river will change based off of that, and you get contributory going into one river, and then at the end you end up with the delta, where you've actually started splitting up again at the delta, usually. And there are, like, if you just look at a real map versus a river in a game, and you take the entirety of the river into account, they always get something wrong. There's always something bad about it. Always something. Always something to do. What am I doing? What am I doing? I am distracted. I need stuffs. I need everything. I need mining drills. I hear a kitten behind me. Whoops. Wrong item. Don't want that. Yeah, I took a course on rivers. So there's that in my background. An entire course about rivers. Graduate level course about rivers. And they were my stronger point on even in the lower level courses, like the sedimentology, stratigraphy type courses, where we get to see, well, we get to learn how things like rivers look in cross-section when you go up to like a cliffside, right? Where you can begin to identify features, and you look at this laterally, different samples, different areas in a region. Different environments have different signatures in how they look in the geologic records. So rivers were my strong point. I could easily recognize the markers of rivers and was able to come up with all that. I will always remember in my undergraduate studies, I took a course that was combined sedimentology stratigraphy, and in the lab section of that, taught by the instructor, for an exam for the lab section, what the instructor had us do was split into two groups for this test. Okay? Each group was given a unknown environment separated into a grid of different sections in the grid of this environment that we're trying to identify. And we each start with a given amount of funding. And we have specific information that you can purchase with your funding. And from the amount of funding that you have to identify the environment in this activity. You have to identify the environment that you've got and the characteristics of this environment. Like, identify roughly each tile of the important features of this environment based off of the knowledge, scientific information that you could buy. And you know what? And for the funding that you had left over, you would get extra points if you had, like, for a given amount of extra funds. We had a river, and I carried my group, identifying the features of that river. And we got above 100% because of the bonuses for the leftover funding. We missed a couple of features, but because we had so much extra funding left over, it more than made up for it. We got like over 105% score on that test for my group. The other group was struggling. They had a different environment. They spent a lot longer than my group did, let me tell you that. My group was out of the room well before the normal end of the class time, because that was what we were doing that whole day. We got to leave early, and we got A's for the entire group, half the class. And I carried my group because I was the rivers guy. I identified that river and the exact tiles that it was snaking through of that environment that was given. And when I see rivers in games, and I see the things that are unrealistic, it bugs me a little sometimes. Sometimes it bugs me a little. But just if you look at a map like the map of Skyrim, and you actually get to thinking about how the heck did that thing actually form through physical processes, you'll quickly realize that it couldn't have. And the ultimate explanation behind why the things look the way they do in a game like Skyrim is simply magic. Magic is the actual explanation. And sure, a legitimate one. But you just have to realize sometimes you're not going to get true accuracy in maps of games. Never, ever will. So I need this. How many setups can we put on this little doohickey? And these? I needed, what, 7 iron? 7 iron red belts. 7 iron red belts. Yes, it's just a game. Yes, it's still going to annoy me. And, like, it being a game, and like that doesn't matter. If it's going to annoy me, it's going to annoy me. Alright, so that's 1 red belt. 2 red belts. Oof, 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 oof. Density, ore density, ore density. 3 red belts. 4. 5. I can maximize a little bit more, but 5. I can get another 2 over here. 6 and 7. Ta-da! There's the iron I need. In its entirety. I didn't really intend to do in its entirety, but hey. In its entirety. I didn't really intend to tap into over 200 iron at this point. I'll mine. I'll do the mining. I won't do the smelting. Or maybe I'll do the 120 smelters. And just whatever we get without the speed and without the productivity for now will be what we get out of it. And then as we get into modules and such, and we start putting that in, it'll adjust to the actual planned rates because we've already got the physical infrastructure down for it. And then if I need to move specific mining because we've tapped out on some stuff, then sure, we'll move some specific mining. Go ahead and do that. Get all that powered, connected. I'll need probably more mining drills to get everything placed, and at some point more underground belt. And we shall move on from there. So yeah, apparently people enjoy such discussions as what we just had. Apparently there are some people who enjoy having those types of intellectual discussions about what if this were real? What if this were a system that was based off of reality? How would it really look like if this were an accurate representation? Because you're never going to get a truly accurate representation of things. Even in simulators, you still have to get something. You have to do things to make it a game, right? Because you're still playing a game, even if you're playing a simulator, and even things like Universe Sandbox aren't 100% accurate. They're pretty accurate. I would actually suggest if you wanna play around, again, play around with like simulations of the universe at that level of scale. Universe Sandbox is a pretty good experience. Yeah, and games have come a long, long way. And it's just that they are games, and not all things in reality work out so well in the form of games. Because in the end, a game has to be an enjoyable experience, and there are some decisions that need to be made to have it be an enjoyable experience at the cost of realism. The universe is a simulation anyway. Yeah. Not a very pleasant one. Definitely not designed to be a video game. That's for sure. That's one thing I think we can say for certain. We are definitely not playing a video game right now. Because that experience it sucks overall for the majority of players. Don't think the majority of players particularly enjoy this video game. called life. If it were indeed a video game. So. Let us continue with this. So, the point is, with all this discussion, we've got all these suggestions about stuff. The point is that I think at this point I've decided that I am going to scale back the streaming. It sort of just happened that I started streaming way more, but I am going to scale it back. I think I'm out of mining drills now. Yep. I am out of mining drills. Now, I'm not going to cancel anything that I'm currently doing, but things like Autonauts, like once I'm done with Autonauts, I don't think I'm going to replace it with anything new. And we're just not going to stream in the morning, not stream in the morning on those days. And I will use that time to do edited video work-ish. And then once Subnautica is finished, I may just not do the afternoon streams on that same day. And then we won't have streams on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at all. And I'll be able to devote those days to making some form of edited content, ideally content that is going to take a while to make, something like a weekly video series of this edited content. Whatever it ends up being. And I am undecided about what will happen on the afternoon Stardew once that finishes. Part of me wants to still do that. Part of me wants to maintain a morning and afternoon stream time. Because I feel like I would be pulling back a bit too much if I only have this time slot here of Factorio and only ever Factorio for just this time slot as my streaming content, right? I want to maintain the streaming of Factorio as its time slot, and I want one other thing. And for a while, that has been that, like, Autonauts morning time slot, but I am thinking I sort of do want to have an afternoon. I do want to have an afternoon slot, too. My mining drills are over here somewhere. Mining drills, there you are. So I think Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday at 6 hours a day, that would be 18 hours of streaming a week versus 33 that I'm doing right now. I think that's decent. Just about half time doing streaming, and then the other amount of time to be quote-unquote full-time or content creation would be making of edited content, posted about maybe 1 or 2 times a week. We'll see how it turns out. Gotta get them editing juices flowing. Gotta get that muscle memory happening on making of edited content, because there's There's video editing, and then there's video editing. Which, yeah, two very different things. There's video editing of trimming down existing content. And then there's video editing of adding a whole bunch of shenanigans to the content. They're two very different things. Like incorporating additional information as text into videos. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work right there. Okay, get this finished up here. And that's what takes a lot of time, and things like doing the actual audio work and editing and script writing and all of that, just getting really into it. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. Alright, I need to merge these. Where am I going to do this smelting? That's really the good question. How many thingies? 144. Huh. So, one of you I need 119. $119. Huh. Alright. Well, there's that. Whoops. Got rid of one too many things there. As I said, I'm building the infrastructure that I know I will need once I have the modules, and that I will... so that I will not have to change the layout once I get the modules. This will go the other direction, though, I think. At the top end. And I mean, of course I'll only do what I enjoy doing. And what I'm happy to do. I think I'd rather have entire days to work on pre-recorded content. Personally. So I will say that I would prefer doing the 6-hour stream days rather than 4 3-hour stream days, and devote the days that I have completely off from streaming to do the edited video content, whatever that ends up being. Not mentioned thus far has been tutorials, which, you know, those are the one thing that get insane views by comparison. So maybe we should do more tutorial content, huh? Actually edited video content for tutorials? How does that sound? That sound good? That sound like a thing that would be good to have? Like actual tutorials? Hold up. Right. As I said, I don't need all of this infrastructure quite yet. Of the mining. I'll be adding the mining later. But this will be 2.5 red belts. Ultimately. I need to get more mining, electric poles. More poles! As for what tutorials, I don't know, some Dyson Sphere tutorials I think would be good for around this time, but as well as maybe some good old-fashioned base game Factorio tutorials, huh? I've done a bunch of Pyanodon's mods tutorial type things, although some people don't think they're not actually tutorials for whatever reason. It's like, excuse me, but yeah, a tutorial is a category that is many things. Like you can an overview of a topic is a form of tutorial. Like explaining the process, the iron process in Pyanodon's mods, what's involved at each tech level of the iron processing from Pyraw ores. Yeah, that's a tutorial. It may be an overview. It is also an overview of the iron processing setup, the requirements for iron processing in Pyanodon's mods in Pyraw ores. But it's still a tutorial. Like, come on. I actually had someone say that this is not a tutorial when it clearly is. Because they have this weird thought that tutorial is telling people how to do something. Well, sort of, but also it's meant to help explain a process. Explaining a process is just as important as explaining how to do something. How to is a type of tutorial, but so is the explanation of why and how and what you are needing to do and what the thing is, what a state of a thing is. All of that is tutorial. You're answering the who, what, why, when, how. Where. All these things. Where are my poles? Each one of those things is a tutorial. You got frustrated with C-Block? Yeah. C-Block is slow. It's built to be slow. But it guides your hands, at least, at the beginning. Ish. It doesn't actually tell you very much after the part of, well, you're able to not die now, right? It guides you through the part where you could do something wrong. It prevents you from doing something wrong that'll break the save. But after that, nothing. It doesn't let you know about better processes you should be doing that are a little bit faster at getting resources. But no matter what, it's still really slow of an experience. One of the major problems with a lot of Factorio mods, in my opinion, is that they add slowness for the sake of slowness, as if the experience isn't already slow enough. Right? It's like, I'm pretty sure that the base Factorio experience, it's already paced pretty well. It's already a fairly slow pace to begin with. Why do we need to arbitrarily be slower paced? At least with Pyanodon's mods, it's slow because there's a lot of things to do. And just even though a lot of the recipes and the scale is so large to get things at good rates, despite all of that, there's so much content there that you're still not going to have any issue whatsoever with being too far ahead at any one point in technology. You're going to almost always have all of the technology for the given place you are in the game. Like, you get into red science, you are going to have all of the red science before you get green. No matter how long it takes you to get green, chances are you are going to have all of that red science. And chances are before you get blue science, like by the time you get blue science or pi science, you're gonna have all the green sciences. And the same thing with purple. By the time you get up to production science, you're gonna have all the blue and pies. Because there are just so many processes that you need to do, that you need to set up at each level of tech in the Pi suite, that there's something to do. And that's why I have enjoyed my experiences with the Pi suite so far. But then there's mods that add slowness, and then you have to sit and you have to wait. And there is literally nothing you can do besides sit and wait. And that is C-block in a nutshell. In the early phases, which is the worst part, to be slow. You don't want the initial impression to be that this is an arduously slow experience like that, to that degree, as in C-block, where there is literally nothing you can do for extended periods of time besides either wait for landfill or wait for resources for science, because early phases of C-block, there's no doing both. If you do both, you're gimping yourself overall. You really are. It is very much designed for you to either throw all of your slag and such into landfill and then switch over to the resources to fill the area that you've just gotten filled. Alright, there we go. I need more big power poles. Everything is now powered. Good. Good. So there's our iron. There's the iron! The iron is completed. We have to do the same exact thing for the copper. Except we'll need like 8 for the copper. For the mining. And 128... That'll be 4? That'll be 4 red belts without any doohickeys. It's this guy and the full thing. It's 144 this one. Which I'm fine with. It's just that we need the copper set up too. And you know what? That can be right over, like right across the street, essentially. Right up here, because that's where I will tap into the copper. And of course, we'll need a lot more resources. I'll need lots more. Whoops, thought I was facing the other direction. Lots more inserters, lots more power poles, lots more everything. Everything! Lots of everything. Lots more furnaces. I'll need more furnaces. As well. And then the mining drills, I'll actually just copy. La dee dee da dee 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 doo. Give me radar. Thanks. I'll copy you. Let me see, which of these things shall we tap? That's not really a good patch at all to tap into. This is better. So that's 2. Four. That'll be that for this in here, which is fed by 3 actually, but oh well. Yeah, I need to try out some more mods. Different mod sets that do different things outside of the usual, like Angels, Pie Sweet, Crust Oreo. I need to see how much has been put into the dye world at this point, if that's even remotely close to being done. I want to try out that one when it comes out. Depends on its license, really, but want to have a look at dye world. Definitely not going to be having a look at IR. Like, my god, why? Like, seriously? Like, seriously, why did IR come back? Like, huh? Like, nah. You've burned your bridges. You have burned all of your bridges. Like, I don't care about you anymore. Never will I ever even download the new IR. Although I think I already had the original and it just updated it, but oh well. Like, I don't want it at all. Never gonna play it at this point. Yeah, the bots are a little slow. I know. This right here, building at scale is slow enough. Like, we have quality of life, not all of the quality of life. I could be instantly done with this if I had nanobots. Yeah, you're not allowed to stream IR because of the mod author's intentions. He specifically is like, you can't make any money off of this whatsoever with that, like, through advertising. It's like, you're not, if it gives you any sort of benefit, then no, you can't do it. All right. This has been this has been settled-ish for like entire video game publishers for a very long time. Because it's the same thing. Like, early on, this was a argument against or versus pro Let's Playing in general, right? Because people were always in fear that any developer at any time could just bring down your videos because it violates copyright. Like, is it transformative? Is it transformative enough? And to which I say, Factorio is a transformative experience, and while yes, it does have the terms in its license that allows people to stream it for Factorio very specifically, it is in the Factorio license that you are allowed to stream it. I would argue that even streaming IR falls within the category of fair use, and he can't do a damn thing about it. That doing streams of IR, I would argue, falls within the fair use clause, but we should respect the wishes of the mod author and not do it anyway. The mod author says no. He said no. Pi Suite has the exact same license, but Pyadon is completely okay with people streaming. Okay? It all comes down to what the actual mod author wants. Pyadon very specifically has this license so that you don't make money directly on the art assets that he has made. Which I get it. Yes, that's the whole point. You don't want people selling the mod. You don't want people going through and claiming that the content is theirs and trying to sell it as theirs. But streaming is completely different. Making video content of playing and experiencing the mod is very different. Very different. You are transforming the content at that point into something different. And you are actively promoting that content, getting other people to experience that content. Big difference. And it's the same thing with Angels and the same thing with Bobs. They don't really care about the people who are streaming the content. They just don't want people packaging up their mod and trying to sell it. Or packaging up any part of the art in their mod and trying to sell it. Claiming that's not theirs, etc. Claiming that their content belongs to someone else and such. So, all that being said, never will I ever IR again. Now there are a few things like Deadlock's loaders that are actually under a different license, and that I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like, there's plenty of other mods that Deadlock has done that are under a separate license that are fine. Who or why would someone sell those things? Well, idiots, but yes, it is technically a possibility. And that also being said, it's a violation of the Factorio terms of service to charge money for mods as well. That is also a Factorio terms of service violation in and of itself to try to sell mods. To charge people for mods. Yes, and then there's the argument of, doesn't the Factorio terms of service supersede any license of any modded content? It would not apply to the art, as far as I'm aware. It would not apply to the actual art used, the sprite, the actual artwork done. Even if it's in a format readable by Factorio, I don't see the terms of Factorio applying to the art that's been added in mods, but mechanics and programming that's built around Factorio but for Factorio wouldn't function. That stuff would have to be covered by the Factorio terms of service, because but for Factorio, you don't have a mod. This mods don't exist without Factorio to run them. But the art exists as the art, even if the art is split up into sprite sheets, it's still art, and that's still covered, even if it becomes something that looks a bit different when processed by Factorio to look like an object. Because the sprite sheets and stuff, phew, God, if you ever seen any of those for Factorio, they're just a mess. But even if that format is readable by Factorio, it in and of itself can exist as art outside of the game. You don't need the game for it to be a piece of art that has been drawn and made and all that. The code, though, the code won't really function functionally as it as it exists without Factorio, so that has to be covered by, like, superseded by Factorio's terms, I would think. And I can totally see having licenses that prevent people from earning money off of someone else's art. It's just that if you're playing the game, are you earning money off of the person's art? Or is it the performance? Like, the art isn't necessary. I could just completely delete all of the art from IR. Like, I can completely delete all the art from IR, just have invisible squares for any of the buildings and entities, and call it a day. And that'd be good, right? Because conceptually, all the rest, I think, would fall under Factorio terms in and of itself. But regardless, though, we have played for a really long time. We are 7 minutes past the hour. What have we done today? We finished up our steel build and working towards the circuit build. We've got iron smelting ready to go, and we're just about done with the copper smelting being ready to go. Just got to run some belt and power it all up, and then we have to place the infrastructure for the conversion of the copper into wires, and then processing the iron plate and wires into the green circuits and get that loaded onto trains. That's going to be what we do in our next stream of this. With that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you've enjoyed today's stream, please be sure to do all of the social and engagement stuff below the video. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Consider becoming an Erudite Otaku member of the channel, as well as support on Patreon at patreon.com/otakushowboat if you're so inclined and able. I will be back at the turn of this next hour with more Stardew Valley. And we've got different mods to talk about. There's been some changes there. One major change, really, on Stardew Valley that we will discuss at the start of the thing. And I will see you all on the next one.